The moment you finally utter the words to your family, "I am done," is almost never the moment your love for them vanishes. It is, instead, the profound and aching realization that continuing to love them in the old way is a transaction that costs you your very essence, your soul. For a certain rare personality, the deeply introspective, the intuitively inward, the one perpetually oriented toward the inner world, family is never just family. It is a psychic battlefield, a silent war waged in the realm of feeling and perception. To the outside world, you may appear as the loyal son, the devoted daughter, the steadfast sibling. But within, you feel like an actor cast in a role you never auditioned for, the strange one in a film whose script was finalized generations before your birth. You know the script intimately. It casts you as the responsible one, the eternal healer, the quiet lightning rod for unspoken familial pain, the secret keeper who sees what others refuse to name. In childhood, this hyper-awareness might have felt like a superpower, sensing the shift in the room before the explosion, calibrating your energy to soothe, to placate, to adapt. Words like trauma, projection, or narcissism weren't in your vocabulary. You simply operated on a core belief. If I can become kind enough, spiritual enough, successful enough, quiet enough, perfect enough, then maybe, just maybe, I will receive the love my nervous system has been yearning for since I was small. And this is where the guilt begins its insidious work. Because on paper, perhaps your family isn't monstrous. There may be no headline-grabbing abuse, no single, stark line crossed in the sand. Instead, you exist in an ecosystem of subtle invalidation, a drip feed of eye rolls when you express feeling, joking dismissals when you attempt a boundary, cavernous silence when you speak a difficult truth. And then, when you finally begin the fragile work of choosing yourself, you are branded selfish, cold, ungrateful, lost to strange new ideas. Why does this act of distancing feel like a final, brutal exam for this rare personality? From a Jungian perspective, it is the psyche's non-negotiable demand for individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, not who the familial tribe requires you to be for its stability. Individuation is not a gentle unfolding. It is often an act of perceived betrayal. The so-called black sheep is rarely the sickest member of the flock. More often, they are simply the one who refuses to continue carrying the collective, unconscious shadow for everyone else. Family systems theory reveals that every family organizes around a homeostasis, a stability, even if that stability is profoundly unwell. When one member begins to awaken, through therapy, reading, meditation, spiritual inquiry, that consciousness is registered by the system as a direct threat. Your insights disrupt ancient patterns. Your boundaries expose hidden imbalances. Your refusal to read from the old script reveals, with terrifying clarity, just how much the entire structure relied on your quiet self-abandonment. And the punishment for this revelation begins. It may manifest as emotional exile, being omitted from plans, silenced in group conversations, discussed but never addressed. It may appear as spiritual gaslighting. You just need to forgive. You're attracting this negativity. Family is sacred. Let go of your ego. It may involve financial pressure, guilt trips woven into casual conversation, or outright character assassination. The highly conscious, introspective personality absorbs this backlash as damning evidence of their own inherent flaw. For decades, you have been trained to see yourself through the lens of your family's projections. Jung termed these powerful psychic structures complexes, autonomous entities within the psyche, fueled by emotion and narrative. The family complex can be so potent that its voice is mistaken for the voice of your own soul. So when you dare to consider walking away, that internalized complex screams, if you leave, you are a bad person. If you were truly spiritual, you would stay and love harder. If you were healed, this wouldn't affect you. Have you heard these whispers within your own mind? If you feel safe, I want you to shout it out right now in the comments below. Drop the exact word or phrase your family uses to pull you back into the fold. Sometimes, just seeing it written by your own hand is the first step to realizing, this was never my truth. And while you're there, if this channel is becoming a lifeline for you, hit subscribe and smash that like button. Every share, every comment tells the algorithm this is a space for real healing, and it helps others lost in the same silence find their way here. Here lies the painful paradox. The more conscious you become, the more your definition of love evolves from blind loyalty to fierce allegiance with truth. And the more your love aligns with truth, the less you can tolerate environments where truth is forbidden. This is why creating distance can feel less like a casual choice and more like a soul's imperative, a sacred duty. Your psyche comprehends a reality your ego fears to admit. If I remain in this assigned role, I will slowly, surely, disappear. If I shatter this script, some may never forgive me, but I will, at least, continue to exist. We will not rush to clean, easy answers here. Instead, we will dwell in the complexity, exploring why the rarest among us feels this crushing guilt for choosing freedom, and how that very guilt is often the fingerprint of your awakening conscience, not proof of your selfishness. Guilt is the heavy chain that keeps the sensitive soul tied to the family gate long after the lock has rusted away. You know the sensation? Your body screams that this way of living is unsustainable. Your mind has cataloged the harms, the patterns, the red flags. Yet, the moment you enact a boundary, a tidal wave crashes within. I am a terrible person. I am abandoning them. I will regret this forever. From a psychological viewpoint, this guilt is not evidence you are wrong. It is evidence you were expertly trained to equate loyalty with love. Your infant nervous system learned a primordial rule. My survival depends on maintaining connection to my caregivers at any cost. Attachment theory names this the survival bond. As a sensitive being, you didn't just attach to people. You attached to their unresolved pain, their volatile moods, their unspoken expectations. You became an emotional translator, a full-time psychic moderator. So, when you begin to choose autonomy, your entire internal wiring shrieks in alarm. To this old programming, freedom looks like lethal danger. Saying no feels synonymous with declaring, I do not love you, even though your heart holds the opposite truth. Jung described how the parental image becomes an imago lodged within the psyche, an inner figure that continues to judge and punish us long after we've left home. The guilt you feel when you set a limit isn't solely yours. It is the echo of that internalized chorus. How dare you change the rules? It is the ghost of every sigh, every after all we've done for you, every disappointed glance. Then, there is the spiritual layer, often the heaviest burden. Many conscious individuals feel they were born into their family with a sacred mission, to heal the lineage, to break cycles, to bring light to generational denial. This sense of destiny can be beautiful until it becomes a prison. If you believe, at a soul level, it is my purpose to fix this family, then choosing distance feels like a catastrophic failure of your cosmic contract. The guilt becomes existential. Have I abandoned my very reason for being? Allow me to offer a reframe that has resonated deeply with many on this path. Sometimes the soul's contract is not to fix them. Sometimes the contract is to refuse to repeat them. In family systems, roles are assigned: the hero, the scapegoat, the caretaker, the lost child. The introspective, spiritually oriented person often receives a cruel, blended role: part hero, part unpaid therapist, part scapegoat. You are praised when your gifts serve the system's stability and punished when your truth threatens its fragile equilibrium. So when you declare, I need space, the system doesn't just lose a member, it loses its primary regulator. It loses the shock absorber, the tension diffuser, the empathetic explainer. The backlash, therefore, is not a measure of your error, but a testament to the immense, invisible labor you were performing. And internally, this backlash translates into more guilt. If they are this hurt, I must have gone too far. I am being cruel. But look closer. Is this your conscience speaking, or your conditioning? A healthy conscience says, I wish to cause no unnecessary harm. Conditioning says, my worth is derived from my sacrifice. If I am not suffering for them, I am worthless. Can you feel the critical difference between those two voices inside yourself? Too often, those at higher levels of consciousness mistake their conditioning for compassion. We tolerate emotional neglect and call it forgiveness. We maintain toxic contact and label it spiritual maturity. We allow our boundaries to be obliterated and tell ourselves we are practicing unconditional love. But love without truth is not compassion. It is self-erasure. I need you to engage with this right now. In the comments, tell me, what is the specific story your guilt narrates when you try to choose yourself? Is it you're selfish? You're ungrateful? You'll die alone? Writing it down robs it of its power. And as you're there, if these words are mapping your inner world, please subscribe to this channel. Your subscription is a signal that work this deep is needed. Hit like, share this with one person who needs to hear it. Be the mirror for someone else's awakening. Now let's confront the most challenging terrain. Why betraying the family script is, for this personality, often the only path to survival. Why walking away transforms from a personal decision into a soul duty, and how to navigate this choice without allowing your heart to turn to stone. Consider the family script. It is more than traditions or rules. It is a deep, inherited psychic software. Who is allowed to be loved? Who must carry the shame? Who is permitted to succeed? Who must remain small to make others feel secure? This script is embedded in anecdotes, in jokes, in deafening silences. You entered this play in its third act, handed a part written long ago. The rare, introspective personality is invariably the one who begins to see the script. You are the one questioning, why do we always excuse this person's behavior? Or why does no one acknowledge that hurt? This seeing is the first, irreversible step of individuation. Yourself, the profound, central archetype of your wholeness, begins pulling you away from the persona, the mask you wear for the family. Initially, it's a faint unease, a reluctance to collude, a shaky voice speaking an unwelcome truth. But as you grow, the internal rift becomes agonizing. One side, the fearful child who learned, I am safe only when I manage everyone's comfort. The other side, the emerging sovereign adult who knows, my soul is suffocating in this role. To betray the script is to side with that emerging adult, and it feels like treachery because the inner child still believes loyalty is synonymous with survival. Here is the ultimate paradox. Staying loyal to the family script is praised as love, but it is ultimately loyalty to unconsciousness. Breaking the script is condemned as betrayal, but it is, in fact, the highest loyalty to life itself. Psychologically, you are transferring your allegiance from the family ego to your own authentic psyche. Spiritually, you are shifting from worshiping the bloodline to honoring the mysterious intelligence that placed you within it for a reason. And often, that intelligence whispers the same relentless message. You are done earning love where the currency is your self-respect. When you ignore this whisper, your body becomes the battleground. Anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, mysterious pains. These are the somatic cries of a soul at war with a script. In this light, creating distance is not an act of petty rebellion. It is the final defensive move of a psyche that has tried every other strategy. This is the heart of the soul duty, not from a place of superiority, but from the raw, undeniable threshold where staying would mean the annihilation of your own consciousness. On a transgenerational scale, you may be the first to declare, the cycle stops here. The silence ends with me. The self-abandonment is over. This is heroic spiritual labor, even if it receives no applause, only condemnation. And then arrives the most delicate task. How do you live with this choice without becoming hardened? How do you create distance without building a fortress of bitterness around your heart? First, by radically decoupling contact from love. Staying in constant contact is not equivalent to loving someone. Choosing necessary distance is not the same as hatred. Mature, differentiated love holds both truths simultaneously. I care for these people, and I cannot remain in the toxic environment their patterns create. Your responsibility ends where their freedom to choose their own behavior begins. Second, by making a sacred space for grief. When you break the script, you are not merely losing people, you are mourning a fantasy, the dream that one day they would see you, understand you, apologize, and transform into the family you needed. That dream has immense power. Letting it die is excruciating. But your grief is not your enemy. It is the proof your heart remains open, soft, and capable of feeling. Those who truly do not care, do not grieve. Can you feel that in your own story? Beneath the righteous anger, the protective numbness, is there a vast, unspoken ocean of sorrow for what never was, and likely never will be? Let it flow. Your tears water the ground for new growth. Third, You maintain softness by refusing the easy story of monster and saint. Depth psychology teaches us that the shadow is universal. You have one. They have one. You can acknowledge specific, real harm without dehumanizing them into caricatures of evil. Recognize they, too, are prisoners of their own scripts, their own unmet wounds, their own unconsciousness. This is not excusal. It is the prevention of your own heart's fossilization into pure resentment. And finally, you build a life with your choice by consciously redirecting your loyalty. Pledge your allegiance now to your own healing, to friendships that are circuits of mutual resonance, not obligations, to creating a future family, biological or chosen, where your sensitivity is cherished, not exploited, to daily practices that reconnect you with something vaster than your personal story: meditation, prayer, creative expression, immersion in nature, mindful movement. These are the things that whisper back, you belong to life itself, not merely to one dysfunctional family system. Before we continue this deep dive, I have one gentle, crucial question for you to hold. If the child you once were, that incredibly aware, adapting, loving child, could witness the sheer bravery it takes to question this entire family story, would they look at who you are becoming and feel a surge of pride? Would they see a protector finally arriving for them? This journey does not end here. We are just beginning to scratch the surface of the generational healing possible. If this exploration feels like someone finally speaking the language of your hidden pain, you are not alone. This community exists for the deep feelers, the cycle breakers, the ones whose love is so vast it must sometimes be expressed through a fierce no. Your engagement is the lifeblood of this work. Right now, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a step on this path. Like this video, it tells the algorithm to spread this message further. And most importantly, share your experience in the comments below. What phrase did your guilt use? What role were you assigned? Your story is a beacon for someone else in the dark. Remember this and carry it with you. You are not too sensitive. You are not broken. You are exquisitely, painfully, magnificently aware. And in a world asleep, that awareness is not a curse. It is a sacred assignment. Your willingness to feel the full cost of authenticity is the very engine of your evolution and the genesis of a new lineage. One defined not by obligation, but by conscious, chosen, liberated love.